Namaste, Zen Zebras. Namaste, Merry Mermaids and Merry Mermen. I know 30% of you are Merry Mermen out there. Namaste, Bella Butterflies, Unique Unicorns. Who else? Who else? Namaste, Ninjas and Dream Catchers. I don't know. That never worked. I told no one, and I should have told somebody that I was going to go live. I tried to go live last night, and then I changed my mind because I didn't want to talk about a sad thing. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because then I would have worse nightmares. Anyhow, look where we're at. We're at... Hi, Scout! Hey, you're almost always the first one. Did you know I was thinking of going live? I'm doing great on this beautiful Saturday. I finally got the F out of my house. Yeah, I said F. Let me see if this... Yeah, look at the beautiful park, guys. Hi, Rain Cloud. How you doing? It's 78 degrees in New York. I know, my daughter told me she was going from Staten Island, New York to Pennsylvania, which I call Pennsylvania. And I was like, oh, make sure you have your jacket on. And she was like, and meanwhile, she's 35. But still, I'm always her mother. And she was like, Mom, it's like 80 degrees here. And I was like, oh, good for you. So it's always 80 degrees in Texas. It was raining really bad. But you know what? Let's go for a freaking walk. Right? A freaking walk. I'm excited about going for a walk because I haven't gone for one in a long time. And basically, I have some work to do tonight. I put together a package today, and then I realized that the post office was closed. Let me turn this around for a second. Hi. Hi. So, basically, I'm going to walk the opposite direction just to mix things up a little bit. At first I saw some people here, but now I just see a little bit less people. That's okay, though. I just wanted to get here. Since... What day? Oh, since I was a cafeteria... not a cafeteria aide. I wasn't a cafeteria. Since I was a gym teacher, / coach sub, it was a long day, but it wasn't a grueling day, because it was in the nice school, that treat me nicely, and, but I was literally standing. We had like hundreds of kids. And it was just me and the music teacher, and he was lovely. His wife is the kindergarten. He's the husband of the kindergarten teacher that I dealt with the other time I was subbing there. But to stand all those hours, and like the kids had like this, they had like this obstacle course that they had to go through, which was really cool. Like some of them could play bowling. Some of them could do this like virtual dance thing on these 2 TVs that were set up. That's what kids want to do today. Some of them could draw. They had drawing paper out. Some of them could throw the beanbag into these buckets, which was really hard. I tried doing it. And then other ones were playing ball, like just throwing the ball. It was like all these nice little games. But the whole thing is the guy I was working with was so nice to me. And I mean, when I say nice, I mean he actually asked me about like my past, like, and when I was telling him, usually like people give me half a ear, and then, you know, I'll realize I gave too much information and they're not interested. So I usually stop talking at that point. Um, but he was interested, and he told me some of his stories. And then when I told him what happened to me, um, he was shocked. He was like, "But you know what? This is what happens. There's no respect. Um, if the faculty isn't going to back up, the administration isn't going to back up the teachers, then we're Schitt's Creek without an or." And at least he understood, and like he introduced me to every single class, and we had lots of classes. I think we had nine classes. That school has over 500 kids. So the only bad thing was that we didn't have a break. We only had a half-hour lunch that really was less than a half hour by the time we walked to the other building to have lunch. And he was just lovely to me. And I was like, I'm figuring out, yeah, keep on going to the schools that are nice to you and respectful and appreciate you, and take the other ones off your list. Which I have a hard time doing that because I always want to give them another chance. Anyhow, there's some people here. I'm sorry if I can't look down and see the chat yet because I'm waiting to get to a bench so I could read it because it's very sunny. Oh. But anyhow, I have a reading to do tonight or today. I might do part 1 in the car because I just can think better in the car. I get so distracted. I guess, my ADD. When I'm in the house, I'm like trying to I threw out I got rid of like 3 bags of stuff. Big, huge garbage bags of stuff to try to make room in my office for the affirmations. And I think it's coming along, but I was like, I don't know. I had a rough week that I really needed to. I know way too much makeup, but makeup makes me feel a little bit better. Just gonna do a couple of stretches over here. I know. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just stretching because we stood for so many hours that my back on the lower left got locked. And I didn't go to the chiropractor, so sometimes I'm so sore that I don't want anybody to touch me. I'm like, just leave me alone and let it, maybe it'll work out after a good night sleep, but it's still there. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Eleanor. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Carol. Hi, Purple Pal. Thank you. Is it a little too much? And how about the earrings? I was so hot. I said, I got to pull this wig back. I got to pull my hair back because it just wasn't doing it. Let me get back on the road over here. So anyhow, I had 2 positive experiences with that school. And they happened to be husband and wife that I worked with. The kindergarten teacher, and then on Monday, I think it was. And then on Thursday, the gym teacher, the music teacher is the husband of the kindergarten teacher. So he was so respectful. He kept introducing me to every single class and saying that I was the boss, that if Miss Brady says something, you do it. And they would be like, yes, sir. I was like, am I like dreaming? Because I'm not treated like that. Like, a lot of times people don't even introduce me to the class. They don't even ask me what my name is, like as if I don't matter. So I'll go over to the board, even if I'm there and the teacher's still there. I'll usually try to go over to the board and write my name down, just so kids could know, yeah, you have to pay attention to me. I'm in charge over here. So, like, yeah, it's just weird how some schools will treat you and some will treat you much better. So, what I've been avoiding to tell you guys, because I'm just so happy about being out on a walk, because it's really the first time in a while. Like, I haven't even really gone around the block because I had like a really stressful, crazy week, and I know you're probably like, Katrina, we know about it. You came on and told us what happened last Friday, and you came on and told us, some other things that happened that you realized Monday night. But I didn't come on. Oh, Tuesday, I came on and I said, I need Devin to take me to the happy hour because something that happened at the other school. Now, I was so surprised because this was a school that I did the third, fourth, and fifth, right? And it was fine. I used to go there years ago. Then I just stopped going there because I wanted to drive myself to work and I wanted to just be like independent. And sometimes Devin was sick, so I didn't want to rely on him. But anyhow, I just had been there the week before and everything was like beautiful, magical. It went, pretty smooth until the end of the day. And that was okay. Even the end of the day was handled pretty well, I would say. I was like, I just need to get into the shade because I feel like I can't walk and talk for this part. So let me just walk over to the shade. Then I'll promise that I'll do an extra lap. I do walk. When I'm in the schools, you're walking, constantly bringing the kids back and forth. But on Thursday, I stood for all those hours that my back locks up. And that was the only bad thing. But it needs to be adjusted, so maybe I'll go tomorrow. Is this a garbage can? Oh, yeah. That's a cool garbage can. Well, let me just sit here for a moment. I'm a person. I could sit down sometimes, right? Okay, so stick that up there. Sorry, my screen is filthy. Try to clear it off. Okay, let me see. Did I miss anything? Hi, Tracy. I'm glad you could be here. I didn't know what was going on. I just was aiming to walk. I tried to come on last night, but it was like 1 a.m, and I just couldn't get myself together. Okay, so if you can't find your eyeglass, oh, okay. Yeah, Zen Jen is in the house. It's written in the stars. How you doing? Tracy, buddy, how you doing? Carol Plant, Purple Pal, how you doing? And Purple Pal knows a lot of what happened, and so does Tracy and Tammy and Ruby. They know a lot because we talk on a sister line during the week. All the time, every day, if we could. Yeah, I just want to, I don't know, spot this kid, so I'm just going to move my spot because this is such a beautiful park that I can go over by. I just want to talk to you about something that happened to me that's important and is scary and sad at the same time. And maybe I've said it already, but I don't think so. I know I said I needed a drink, but I don't think I told you what happened. Okay, yeah, so we're going to get over to a bench and I'm going to tell you. So it started out that I had a kindergarten class in the school that I was used to having third through fifth grade. So I figured, hey, the third through fifth grade really went well, so let me do the kindergarten, because that used to be my forte. Well, I went in that morning. Devin has to drive me because it's the faraway school as well. And yeah, I could be an adult, try to figure it out, but I really can't. It's too far for me. It's just like I have night blindness, so I would not be able to see. Let me go to this bench because this bench is totally by myself. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to talk in the midst of like there's parents with their kids, and all of a sudden about 5 people came. So there was nobody. There was one lady there, and then all of a sudden 5 people came. So little kids and stuff. Anyhow, so I go to the school. I go in the morning. I get there really early because Devin doesn't want me to be late, but I don't know. This school never is open. Like the door, literally, I knock on the door forever and nobody answers the door. So finally, I have to take out my phone and call the school. And then usually, then they open the door. So when I got in that morning, this is Tuesday, after having a beautiful, perfect, magical day in the kindergarten in the other school. Let's call this magical school, let's call the magical school Magic, okay? I call it Richie Rich, but let's call it Magic. And then the school that I'm in, let's call that, sorry, Grasshopper. Okay, the Grasshopper School. Okay, so because I had been there in the beginning of my career, in the beginning of my 8 years here in Texas, I started out in that school, Grasshopper School. And then it did get, I used to teach third grade almost every week. I would teach 3 or 4 days of third grade, and the teacher always, called me. And that was nice. So, that was the very beginning of my teaching, my subbing, and I was still looking for full-time job, but hoping maybe I would get it there. But if I got it there, Devin said you would have to learn how to drive yourself because I can't drive you every single day, and pick you up every single day. So then I tried to get something. I think it was closer. Who knows? Yeah. So I used to go there a lot. That was my point. So I was used to that school. So, all right, anyhow, I go in the morning, nobody opens the door. Finally, the secretary comes, she opens the door, and I said, oh yeah, what time do you open? Should I have gone through the cafeteria? Because I'll do that, like, next time, because I seem to always be here, like, before they open the door. And she goes, well, we don't open the door for the kids until such and such, which was, like, way after. And not regular teachers have keys so they can get in, let themselves in. So she goes, well, I just got here myself. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, because I didn't want to start off on the wrong leg. And that could happen. So I go in, I see a couple of teachers, and I ask them, do we have to pick up the kids from the cafeteria? And they go, oh, you're going to be in here today? And I've seen them before, but like, I don't remember them ever talking to me, if that makes any sense. So, they go, yeah, we go there around 7:25. So I was like, I like to keep, she goes, it's in the schedule on the teacher's desk. So I was like, okay, like, you could tell somebody, you don't have to refer everything to the schedule, but I was planning on looking at the schedule. Of course, I'm planning on looking at the teacher's plans and everything that she left. That's why I get there earlier. And so I go over and I see it, and then I realize, okay, now it's time to go run to cafeteria, get the kids. So I see the 2 other teachers, and they didn't say anything to me. So I was like, okay, it's early. Maybe they don't want to talk in the morning. That's all right. So I got the kids, and one little girl was saying how her mother got the baby taken out of the stomach. So they were like, oh, so you're a big sister now? And she was like, yeah. And they were trying to ask her if the baby came home yet. But we didn't have a clear answer on that one. So she had a big cut on the face, and she said it was her sister's dog that is bad. And I was like, well, I have a puppy, and he does that. If you get too close to his face, he'll jump up and he'll scratch you. And so she was saying another story. So we get into the classroom. It seems very noisy. So I'm trying to calm them down. I'm like, maybe it's just a noisy class compared to what happened to me the day before in the magical school, where the kids were quiet and I only really had to say one thing, and they were all smiling at me. Nobody cried. Now, come Tuesday, okay, that's not the same aura. There was a different aura, and I was like, oh, maybe I should stick with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade building, because they're different buildings. There's different teachers that you deal with. So when I came in the morning, nobody said anything to me. Like, they said, why are you here? And I said, I'm here for the kindergarten. I was called to the kindergarten. And they said, which kindergarten? And I said the name. So that usually there's one secretary that says, thanks for coming. Or she'll say hi to she'll just say, hi, Kathleen. But I didn't see her, so maybe she was absent. I don't know. So the whole day started off kilter. And I was like, don't make a big deal about it in your head. I was still on the high of the magical school, right? I was still like dealing with that happiness because I had the bad thing happen to me on Friday in the school that I wanted to go back to. And I made the decision not to ever go back there. And that was big for me. It really took me a few days to get used to, because I didn't know if every school's going to be like that, and if so, I need to hang it up. Hi, Gracie. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Mystic Brady Bunch. In case you're new and you're watching me, whether in the chat or just watching, my name is Mystic Brady. My name is Katrine Brady. And welcome to the Mystic Brady Bunch. We do walk and talks. We do sit-in talks. We do reads. And right now I'm talking about a situation at a school that I went to as a sub. So, what happened was that I go back to the classroom. The kids are very, very noisy, so I try to calm them down. I'm trying to go through the work the best that I can. I'm looking at the schedule, and the 2 things I look for is when is lunch for the kids and my lunch. It's usually the same time. And when is the prep period? Well, I'm not understanding that something on the schedule says you go to do the lunch duty. And I'm like, I know sometimes I have to do recess duty, and I had in this same school when I did the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I had to do lunch duty for a half hour too. And I'm like, oh my God, why are they having teachers do lunch duty? Well, I guess because they're closing and they have nobody to be a lunch aide anymore. They don't want to hire a lunch aide, so they have the teachers doing it. So that I don't like, but I figure it's only a half hour, so what am I going to do, But I'm trying to look, and the lunchtime for me is 20 minutes. And then I'm trying to see where the prep is, and that's not until the end of the day, I think. I don't know. No, it was in the middle of the day. But anyhow, we got off to a very noisy start, so I tried to do songs. I try to do like any kind of, anything I could do, like songs and claps, and they seem to be picking up on it, but then they would be quiet for 1 second and then go back to arguing. So it comes to like to get your pencils out and your crayon boxes, because she gave them a lot of work that had to do with coloring in, right? It's only kindergarten, shouldn't be that hard. But apparently they don't ever use these boxes that they brought in that have a scissor and like 5 pencils, no crayons, right? The only pencils I saw was the pencils that the teacher has aside, like over on a cart. I asked one kid, are you allowed to use those to color things in? And of course he said yes. So I'm sure the answer probably really was no. But how are they supposed to color things in? They say some of them were coloring things in with their pencil, and I was like, no, you gotta use your crayon. Where's your crayons? We don't have crayons. Okay, some people had crayons, some people didn't. I thought that was weird. So just gonna try to take a break on this bench to finish this little story out, and then I'll go walk. So, not to make a long story longer, which that's what I always do, but what I wanted to say is, so this one little girl, the one that had the baby, is a brand new baby sister, has a baby sister at home, seemed to be like inappropriate and talking a lot. And so somebody came in and said, she sits at the special table with this other girl that gave me no problem at all. And I said, okay. And they said, I think it was an aide, and she said she has to sit there because she's allergic to eggs. Even if you had an egg the day before, or if you had anything with eggs, made with eggs, she could go into shock. So send it to the nurse if she seems like, she's coughing or she has like breathing problems. And I was like, oh, okay. I made a little note of it, but then I saw it was in the lesson plan. But she seemed to be like nonstop talking, nonstop yelling, not fighting with the people around her, right? So then all of a sudden, this little girl that was sitting next to her or near her comes up to me crying. And this is after I said, get your boxes out, get ready, get ready to go, and get ready to color in the pictures. Don't just get up for pencils. If you have a couple of crayons, use those. But of course now they want to get up for pencils because probably they were never allowed to do that. So, take advantage of the sub. And I don't know, I'm getting a couple of side eyes from the other teachers. But they're not talking to me nicely. They're just giving me like a side eye and like kind of like rolling their eyes in their head. Trust me, I know at 60 years old, I've been having these feelings since I'm 7 years old, probably even sooner than that, but I really go with my gut. And I'm like, why are these teachers acting like I'm, doing them a favor by coming here? Like, I don't know, like I'm annoying them or something. It was a weird feeling. It wasn't like the other school where if you need any help, we're here to help you. You just knock on a door, call up the office, do this or that. It was none of that, right? It was like my existence made them mad. And it was a weird feeling, so I tried not to think about it. I tried not to be paranoid, but I'm usually always right. So I let it go because you just got to get your day, off. You got to get out of the day. You got to finish the day out, right? So that's your priority. So that's my priority anyway. So I'm trying to teach the lessons. Every lesson that she had me do, they ended up yelling. There was a little boy, that was, I don't know, he was stealing all the pencils. He was taking the pencils from the people at his table. So several times I talked to him. I tried to separate him a little bit, and he kept going back, and I don't know. I was like, I know I'm going to have trouble with this one. At the same time, when I was reprimanding him about sharing the pencils and not getting out of his seat every second, because I'm sure he's not allowed to do that, the little girl comes up to me crying, and I said, "What's the matter? Why are you crying?" She said, "Well, you know when we got our boxes with our pencils and our scissor?" And I go, "Yes." She goes, "Well, the other girl, that little girl over there, she scared me, and she told me she's gonna cut my head off with her scissors, her purple scissors." Sure enough, I go over there. She's got the purple scissors in her hand. Now, we're not doing anything with cutting, because even if there's a thing in the lesson plan with cutting, I don't do it. Okay? Not doing it. I wasn't getting any respect. I'll only do it if I get respect. If it seems like a calm class and like they can handle it. But this was right off the gun, right off the bang. From the lunchroom to the classroom, there was problems. Then the screaming and different people crying. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing scissor stuff. And I just hate that and it was a project. It was some sort of Halloween project where you had to cut things out and number it. And it was way too complicated for this group, and especially with the sub. So I was like, that's off the list. But she gave plenty of other stuff that we couldn't get through. We got through like maybe 3 worksheets, and I thought that was good. And I read a story, but it was interrupted every minute. So I knew this is going to be trouble. This is going to be trouble. If it's trouble in the morning, it'll be trouble in the afternoon, and worse after lunch until dismissal. So I was right about it. I was trying to, ask for help. Oh, this one. So when she said that, I went over to that little girl and I said, "Did you say that to her? Did you say you were going to hurt her with your scissors?" I took her scissors, put them on a top shelf, right? And she said, "Yeah, I did, only because she said she's not going to be my friend." So I said, "Listen, you can't do that, even if somebody says they're not going to be your friend. You can't threaten them." And she goes, "I don't know what threaten is." And I said, "Threaten means you tell somebody that you're going to hurt them." And she was like, "Well, she wouldn't be my friend, so that's what I'm going to do, because she hurt my feelings." She's like, I took that other child, I put her at the table with the boy that was giving me trouble, just so I can keep an eye on them. And I separated them. I thought that would help. Well, it didn't help. It did not help. Because it was just like, if it wasn't that one that threatened to use her scissors, it was the boy. And finally, I told a couple of people about that. And nobody took the kid out to talk to them. They just talked to them in the classroom. And I said to myself, you know what? Instead of writing a note to the teacher, this big long note, I'm just gonna tell a couple of people, right? Maybe I was supposed to tell the principal, but it was the first 5 minutes of the day. So I figured, you know what? Maybe she's having trouble adjusting to her new sister. But that was really a violent thing, and having her scissors in her hand at the same time. Oh my God, I can't imagine having to see like a crazy bloodbath in my classroom. So I was taking it seriously. So I told like 3 people on the floor, and they all know the kids. So, they're there for forever. So they're like, anybody who would talk to the kids, they would say, "You don't act like this for your teacher, and you don't act like this for anybody else. So why are you doing it now?" Then that makes me feel like a piece of crap. Like, oh, what am I, not strong enough? Or not disciplined enough. So it gets worse. So I get through the day, I'm in the lunchroom. When the kids are going into the lunchroom, I'm trying my best to get up there because I'm the one who's going to be there, the only teacher that's going to be watching them. So, oh, hi. Hi. Go ahead. The little doggy came up to me. I didn't know if he was going to bite me or not. So, I get through a couple hours in the classroom that was like brutal. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of crying, a lot of screaming. I tried to do songs. I tried to do, I showed them stickers I brought. I brought special stickers. I pointed to the candy that they would get if they were really good, right? The ones that were the worst came up to me and said, am I going to get a sticker? So I would use it. I would say, you know what? I have other stickers and prizes in that big bag over there, but I can't even show you guys because you're not getting quiet. When you get quiet, I could show it to you. So hence, I never was able to take out any more stickers besides the one set, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm making a list for your teacher, and she's going to give it to the good ones, which I never left them because of what happened in part 2. I couldn't even write the letter because of what happened. Okay, so let me just tell you what happened. So the day was crappy, and it just continued to be, get worse and worse. And then finally, when I'm in the lunchroom, this little boy that was naughty, he was sitting alone, and I could tell he wanted to run. And he goes, I have to take my medicine. I go, are you doing all right? Like, I tried to talk to everybody, give everybody like hundreds of chances, because they're kids. And I talked to the little girl a little bit, but she wanted me to sit with her. And she was in an egg-free area, sitting all by herself, eating lunch. I mean, that's what has to happen, I guess. So, I talked to her, then I said, no, I have to give out napkins and sporks. And so I talked to the little boy, and he goes, I have to leave. I have to go to the office and have my medicine. And I said, no, you don't leave now. Usually they'll call him, or it'll be at the end when we line up and we start to walk to the building. Because all these things are in different buildings. So you're constantly walking, so you get your exercise. That's for sure. So he goes, no, I do it now. Like, totally, it was early. It was like not the end of lunch. It was getting towards the end of lunch, but, and then all of a sudden he ran. As soon as my back was to him, he ran out of the cafeteria and he ran across this, cement area and ran into the office building. So I ran after him. I told the 2 other people that were adults in the cafeteria, and I ran after him. Maybe that was the wrong idea because I don't know, what the 2 lunch people, but there was 2 other adults there. I just thought he was leaving, and that's dangerous. So I went to go get him, and I'm in a, huffing and puffing because I had to run. I'm not used to running. I'm a walker, and plus I'm sexy, okay? And he's 5. So he ran all the way to the end, to the office, and I got him. I got his hand, and he let me hold his hand. And I said, you weren't supposed to do that. He goes, yeah, I got to get my medicine. And I said, no, at the end of the lunchtime, not because he was bored. That's why, because he had to sit by himself, because he did something else. So he was on a punishment. Nobody told me about it. So, this is what I'm saying. Nobody's telling me the little ins and outs that I need to know, that I should know about. So anyhow, I go and I get him. I think everybody's going to be happy. I get back to the cafeteria, and I tell the lady, the only lady that came up to me, I think she said she's a librarian, or she's the aide for the library. And I said, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, and, and I'm subbing. So when I said to her, I ran after him because he ran out of the cafeteria and he went to go get his medicine and he's not supposed to get his medicine now. And she goes, oh yeah, he is. And I said, he's allowed to run out of the cafeteria? And she goes, no, well, usually when we line up and as we're walking out of the cafeteria, then he jumps off the line and goes. I go, yeah, but we weren't lined up. We weren't finished with lunch. He just went after I told him no. And she was like, yeah, it's okay. He could do that. I'm thinking to myself, am I in the friggin' Matrix? Am I being punked? And I was like, oh, okay. So in other words, another thing that I did wrong. So I ran after him for nothing. I should have just let him go and wander around in there and not give an F, right? So, but then I would have been in trouble for that too, probably. So I was like thinking to myself, she was like the one lady that was nice to me. Now all of a sudden she's like, oh yeah, he could have done it. He could have left and went, but it wasn't time to line up. It was, the people were still eating. We have a half hour for lunch. They have 11 to 11:30. So at 11:19, we're not lining up at 11:19. It's when the teachers are eating their lunch. For some reason, not me. All right. So now I'm gonna switch to the beginning part. Right. The sun's going down a little bit, so that's good. All right. So the ending part, not the beginning. You're probably like, we're dying over here. So I'm sure I'll be done by 20 minutes. Okay. The ending part was, okay. So I told the teacher what he did, the teacher across the hall, that he ran out of the cafeteria. She goes, oh, well, he gets his medicine. I go, yeah, but is he supposed to get his medicine after I told him wait till it's the end? And she goes, well, it doesn't matter. I said, okay. And then she looked at me. I guess she felt a little bit bad. And she goes, well, if he's bad again in the classroom, you just send him over to me. Send him over to my classroom or the other teacher's classroom. And both of us, either one of us, will take him for you. And they were like, say his name is Michael. Michael, do you understand that? You're going to spend time with us, and it's not going to be fun. If you don't behave, it's not going to be a fun time. He didn't seem like he cared one way or another, right? And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I mean, I always try to be very like, thank you so much, or please, and I appreciate it. And, any kind of help or support, I appreciate, because sometimes people just ignore you and do what happened in the next couple of seconds. You're going to find out. So he was doing his thing. I was trying to get through one more paper, and the noise level was crazy. Fighting with the pencils again. Then I told them, put their heads down, clean up the pencils. I still let them have stations where they were, building and stuff. And then he just did something like with the toy, he threw it at somebody, and I just had it. It was late in the game. There was another teacher. She was like a para, like a teacher's helper, and she came to push in, and she saw how they were screaming and yelling. And she started yelling at them and saying, you never act like this for the teacher or any other subs. So why are you acting like this now? And like, every time people say that, it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel like incompetent. And that's what I started to feel. I started to feel like, is it me? Like, if everybody's saying that they never act like this, I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do act like this. This isn't something that just started. Of course, they don't act like that for their... Look at my new necklace, guys. It's rose quartz heart. Isn't that pretty? And it came with this big long chain. But I had it on the inside. Let me just switch it. I have to switch it to be on the right side because it was inside out. Okay, sorry. So I bring him over to her class, and she looks at me like I have 3 heads. It's the end of the day, so I'm figuring, I think I put up with this enough in my head. I'm like, let me utilize. I said, you said he could come here if he misbehaved? And she looks at him, and she looks at me like she's not happy. And I go, I'm sorry. I tried everything. I gave him a lot of chances, and he's doing blah, blah, blah. So she takes him in, okay? 5 minutes later, she brings him back. And I'm like, that's what that face was for. So she said, I'll take him in my classroom. And the other teacher said the same thing. But yet they did not want me to bring him. Okay? They did not want me to bring him. Because 5 minutes later, I was like, I turned around. I go, why? What are you doing back here? He goes, oh, she told me, she sent me back. I was like, okay, I see what's going on. I'm not like a stupid woman. You know, I could be silly and naive, but I'm not stupid. All the feelings that I was having since the morning are coming in to sit down on my chest. So it's time to go to oh my gosh, I thought I was only talking for like 16 minutes, and I'm like, why am I so tired if I've only been walking for 16 minutes and I've been sitting down half the time, and it's 47 minutes. That's crazy. Okay, so maybe I should just go over to the rock. All right, so the last part of the story is I'm like, just get Katrina, get through the day, right? Try not to yell and scream because it doesn't work. Do not ever put your kid in another classroom, even if they said, I'll take the kid, because 5 minutes, that was a friggin' insult, right? So you're not doing anything for me. Then I felt like the extreme feeling that I was being talked about, okay? And now I know my sister and Devin and my friends will say, my family and my friends would say, well, you're paranoid. You've always been paranoid. Yeah, I admit I'm a little paranoid, but this was like a strong feeling, like my guides were telling me, don't panic, but they're talking about you as if you're not doing a good enough job, like to control the class. And I'm thinking to myself, well, here I am. I went to that other school, the magical, beautiful school, and the kids loved me. Even the kid that did the finger guns, he was nice. I mean, he did a couple of weird things, but, kids aren't going to come in and just be, robots. And I taught kindergarten for many, many years, and most of the kids loved me. I do songs, I do silly songs. We did, the projects. I tried to get through all the paperwork that she gave me, but we're not going to do scissors. Just not doing it. Anyhow, it's time to bring them to the cafeteria for dismissal. My favorite part of the day, right? So, if I'm having a hard time, that's my favorite part of the day, because now at this point, I'm so tired. My head is killing me. My neck is killing me. Probably my back was killing me, but it was more like I was insulted. I felt like something was off all day. So I bring them to the cafeteria. Oh, and first of all, I kept looking at the teacher's paperwork and waiting to see if the other class went too. So apparently Did the other class get there before me? I think they did. There was just 3 kindergartens, I believe, right? So I go to the, the little boy that had run away before, he went to run away again. He wouldn't leave the classroom when it was at the end of the day. So then I was like, I just had it. I was like, let's go. We have to go. And we're all walking. And so then maybe the other teacher saw him lingering and she yelled at him again too. Anyhow, why should you be mad at me if this kid is being like this? So we get to the cafeteria and that teacher doesn't say anything to me. The teacher, she goes outside to the dismissal. So usually the way it works here in Texas is, or anywhere probably, is if they want you to do dismissal, they'll tell you. Can you go out and put the kids in the cars? But they didn't say anything to me, not one word. Not like, hey, how'd you go? How is it? Was your afternoon a little bit better? After I took the kid for 5 minutes for you? Was it a good 5 minutes? No, not one word was said to me. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to go to different tables. One girl had, a couple kids had umbrellas and they were hitting each other over the head with it. So I would go over there and try to put that fire out. Then go over to the other table and tell them to stop yelling across the way and listen for their name. They literally had to go. So, okay, I'm just going to get in my car for this last part. I'm sorry if I'm not saying anything to the chat, but I think I did. I don't think there's anything there that I didn't read. Oh. When I sit down, it hurts. So, hi guys. Oh, full of sweat. So I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm looking at these teachers. One left and was outside and just like I could hear her calling names and stuff like that. Then there was another lady in the doorway. I remember her from years ago. I don't know if she's an assistant principal or just a teacher or an aide, but probably maybe I would guess an assistant principal, right? So, feels like it's gonna rain. We have a little bit of salsa left. So, I'm standing there at the 2 tables, right? And the lady that had taken the kid for 5 minutes, that won't say anything to me, good, bad, or ugly, she walks out the door. So I'm assuming, I guess she's going to do car duty, put the kids in the car, which I would have willingly done had somebody told me to do it, right? So I stood there and I went to the tables, I called, I talked to different kids and I tried to calm them down. They were just like sitting there yelling at each other and across the way. And this other lady I noticed in the doorway that was calling names, listen for your name, and I would tell them to listen for their name too, was looking at me like a side eye, not a nice way, a side eye. You know the feeling, right? If you work with teachers and principals, you know the feeling. So I just like said, it's the end of the day. It's 3 o'clock. I just have 15 more minutes. I'm just gonna, I'll try to calm them down as much as I can, but they weren't literally listening to me. I would go to the table, say something, and they would say, "What?" And I would say, you need to listen for your name. Stop yelling. Pay attention for your name. The lady at the door is calling your names. You need to know when to go. And they literally, she would call them. She would say, Natalie, Natalie Johnson, Natalie Johnson twice, Natalie Johnson. And Natalie Johnson's just busy talking. Now, I don't know who that is, because now there's other kids in there. There's other classes. So, and I just met the class today. I don't know everybody's name, right? So I'm saying, kids, listen for your name. Is that you? Who's Natalie? Natalie. And so I would call out the name that she called out. Well, then all the kids are gone except for like 3 fourth graders, right? I don't really have to stay there for the fourth graders, but I did. I stood there until there was 0 people. So then when there was like 2 fourth graders there and all the kindergarten kids were gone, she looked in at me, right? This lady who may be an assistant principal, maybe the principal, I don't know. I don't know who she was. I remember seeing her years ago, and I don't remember her being nice to me then either. So I knew that other 2 teachers had said something to her about me, because I'm psychic. So I friggin' know when I'm being talked about, okay? Those of you who think I'm just paranoid, I friggin' know. So what am I going to do? I can't do anything about it. So I heard her say something, and then I looked over at her, and she goes, "Thank you so much for controlling the kids so that we can have an easy dismissal. You really did so much to help." And at first, I thought she was saying thank you, because why would somebody yell at a substitute when you can't get substitutes to come to your school in the beginning, in the first place, and you give them a class that kids were off the chain? And I reached out, I told people, I asked for help. They gave me 5 minutes of help, right? They yelled at the kids. They still did it, right? So they know these kids. Anyhow, I looked at her. My first reaction was that she was complimenting me. And I go, "Oh, no problem." And then I realized, and she said it again. "Thank you so much. You really helped us so we can have an easy dismissal while you took care of the kids." So she was being sarcastic, right? And so I go to the doorway because I wanted to see, like, excuse me, I was trying my best. I was going around to all the tables. I was doing all that. They just sat there screaming. And there was a couple of seconds where I just like stared into space, because I was like, nothing is they're not listening to me anyway. So I like went into, like a staring, I'm still there, but I went into like, if I'm yelling at them, I'm going to the table, I'm trying to correct them, I'm going to this one, that one. You didn't tell me to go out to do the cars. That's easy, right? You put a sub in a cafeteria full of all these kids that don't know me, right? And then you do that to me? So I went into the doorway, and I could tell that I was talked about outside by the 2 other teachers that are kindergarten, right? So they were embarrassed that I went there. Like, usually probably everybody would just leave, after the kindergarten kids were gone. No, I stayed there because the 4th graders were still there, so I was trying to help. And then the 4th graders told me, I go, "Is your parents picking you up? Are they late?" And they go, "No, we're in the after school center." And I go, "Oh, thank you for telling me," right? Teachers couldn't tell me that. So, and I have a good relationship with the kids, like the kids, like they could be naughty and stuff, but I always give them chances, and I have a good relationship with them. If you ask them a question, they usually tell you an answer. But for her to say that to me, and it was so disgusting. I mean, the secretary knows me, the secretary, that calls me every day, and they called me the next day too, okay? She calls me almost every day for years. "Oh, can you come? Can you come?" And I just started going back to that school because I had a good experience in the 3rd grade where they finally showed me where the bathroom was. But I was like in such shock that she was insulting me. So I went over to the doorway and I figured, oh, I go, is that it? And nobody would talk to me. It was like I was invisible. And I figured if she was trying to say something mean to me, maybe she would have the balls to say it to my face, not it, yelling at me across like the room. I was like 10 feet away from her. So, and there's kids that are making noise. Somehow that's my fault, right? So I went into the doorway to see if the other two teachers would at least say goodbye. And they put their back to me. And they're talking to each other. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really friggin' weird. And so I stood there another second. I looked at that lady that said that to me. And I was like, oh, that went pretty fast. And she put her back to me too and started talking to the janitor lady. And she called her, like, when somebody's trying to ignore you, so they'll call somebody else and talk to somebody else just so that they won't have to deal with you. So then I just walked away and went back to the classroom. Classroom was locked, and that same janitor lady that she just called over for some reason, I said, do you have the key? And she said, yes. And she opened the door. I was like, thank you so much. I feel like, like I'm constantly saying thank you to people. It can't be that. So I'm going to, I decided I'm not writing any note to the teacher because I'm never coming back after what happened all day. Maybe I'll come back for the 3rd grade, but I'm rethinking it. I'm thinking about it. Because they didn't do this to me in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But anyhow, I just was so like shocked. I was just in a manic state. I couldn't cry. I'm not going to cry. But if I saw that secretary in the morning that likes me, I would have said something to her like, I really had a hard time. And instead of, saying thank you for coming in, this lady said this to me. Now, still, I don't know if it would have made a difference or made it worse because that lady might be the principal or an assistant principal. But it doesn't matter. Even if she was a principal, why was she yelling at me as if I'm not doing my job? I did everything I could think of to keep these kids quiet. And if they wanted me to put kids in cars, somebody should have said that to me. Hey, sub, who has never done this grade for years at this school, could you put the kids in the cars? And I said, yep, absolutely. Anyhow, I go to the office lights are off and we have to sign in digitally and sign out and put your code in and stuff. So I'm like, oh my God, if the office is locked and closed, what am I going to do? And then I look over to the library. And everybody in the school is in the library. All the teachers, and they looked at me and there's all food set up and, they're having a party, obviously. So Devin goes, well, you don't want to be invited to that. It's not like you were going to stay there. I said, listen, I would have liked to be invited, but she was saying it in a hush-hush way. I obviously, was left out. And that doesn't feel good. I wouldn't have gone. I want to get out of there. I want to go home, and Devin's picking me up. But the thing is, it would have been nice for somebody to say, if you don't see anybody in the office, just sign out, because we're having a meeting and, food in the library. But no, it was done in a shady way. So that was my day. It made me feel like, do I have to eliminate another school? Because I'll do it. But it's just that I had such a great supportive time when I did the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade that I think I'll give it one more chance for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade and never go to the lower grades. And of course, the next day they called me for 1st grade. But it wasn't even for a teacher. It was a teacher's aide, which meant that I would be doing all cafeteria duty for not just one period, for, the whole day. And I'm not doing that. But thank you for listening, guys. I'm sorry I took up so much time telling my crazy story, and but that's my life. Later on, if you're interested, I'm going to be doing a reading for a Scorpio. It's just going to be a video, or it might be 2 videos, whatever I could do. I might start in the car and then end tonight, because I have some cards in the car and I have some cards at home. Anyhow, if you're interested in watching that, that'll be probably later tonight. Thank you for being with me and for going for a walk with me, and I love you all. Namaste. Mystic Brady Bunch.